Adams Zondervan, live in Renville, from the Wilmer area. Me and my son, we have built this 1964 Chevy Impala SS. We got it stock from North Dakota area up past Fargo, and that was before COVID. We started with everything was off the car, like it had nothing on it. No steering column, no gauges, everything, bumpers, all of it was in the trunk, inside the car. And it started off with one day my son asking me, if you could have a car, what car would you want? And I said, I've always wanted a 64 Impala since school, you know, and seeing stuff like that. And he kind of got my mind going to where I started thinking about it. And I was like, you know, let's look. And so we found this one, and I drove out and picked it up and brought it back, and it was in the winter. And the guy had a bunch of cars, but he took this one all apart because he was about ready to put it in the shop to get body work done and all that. But he ended up having some health issues, and to where one car had to go, and so it ended up being this one. And I said, well, it looks pretty good to me the way it kind of is, you know. I mean, I'm planning on driving it and fixing it kind of at the same time. So that's what we did, brought it home, and me and him just kind of started piecing it together. And matter of fact, the first show we took this to was the Rusty Eyeball, and it didn't have no door panels in it, didn't have no headliner, but we loved it. And we just cruised this thing, and just little at a time been kind of chipping away at making it look nice and enjoying it. It's always been the idea that it was going to be a 64 lowrider, because the guy had like Riddler wheels with it. His idea, I think, was to do hot rod with the car. I've always been into lowriders since I was in middle school, and so it's always been a passion of mine to want to have one, and finally got to where I could start affording one a little bit to fix one, and so we started diving into it. But yeah, lowrider was the idea from the beginning. Most lowriders have hydraulics. It's getting popular again now with airbags, to where there's a lot of technology out there that you can put into the cars to where it kind of moves like hydraulics. They're not, it's, you know, kind of the same with one's air, one's juice, but there's a lot of weight difference also. Hydraulics have a lot of batteries in the back to be able to move all the hydraulics. These do not have to have as much. They basically run off of the same battery. You can add extra batteries if you want to for the extra power to run the pumps, unless you have engine-driven air pump. So the reason why we went with airbags is because being out here in the sticks, away from the big cities, we don't have a lot of people out here that do hydraulics unless you're into like tractors or stuff like that. So trying to find somebody that knows how to do hydraulics for cars out here is pretty much non-existent. And so doing airbag stuff, actually I called up a buddy of mine who's done wiring and stuff like that, and he came over to help me do the wiring part of putting this system in. And I ordered the set from Hoppos out of California. It's a well-known hydraulic company. And so I bought their kits, a front, back, side to side kit, 4 switches. Like I said, I got 4 Viair pumps. I got 3 tanks. And it started out with just 1 tank and 2 pumps, but it wasn't fast enough for me because we'd run out of air, because we love to play with the switches every time we come to a stoplight or something like that. And so I was like, we need more air. So added 2 more tanks, added 2 more pumps, and then just kind of evolved from there. Hydraulics would be your more faster on-demand type system that you'd want to use, and it's a lot faster. You can do a little bit more. You can 3-wheel with that, hop it, which, you know, it's fun. You know, I've had both now, but in the beginning we didn't have a lot of thought on the hydraulic stuff. So this was just something that we could do in our garage at home, and it does save weight. There isn't as much, but yeah, it was really just a matter of we could do the air ourselves. Yeah, so 13 by 7 inch wire wheels. We started out actually with Luxury wire wheels. And they were all chrome in the beginning because it was the cheapest set that a guy could get. Don't really have to do anything to get them to fit. They fit into the stock wheel wells and everything just fine, obviously. And then that's kind of evolved into the all gold player wire wheels, as now we're kind of changing up the look of the car as we've evolved everything from, now it has door panels, now it's got chrome touches, gold touches, and so my brain just kind of goes to the car when looking at it, like, what do I want to do next? And so 100 spoke deep dish wheels, I mean, it was kind of always the plan, you know, I mean, you got to have the wire wheels. It's a shop from Arizona that does the engraving on the car, and I pretty much just ordered what they have on hand if they do, and they ship it up, and then me and him will put it on the car. And that's kind of the stuff that's been engraved that you see on the car is stuff that is kind of the ugliest parts of the car that was chromed, and I wanted to, that's how I've been kind of working on the cars. All right, what's the next ugliest part that I can change and make it look nice? And I have kind of an OCD with stuff like that. Like, okay, I did a part over here, I got to do a part over here to where it's even, you know? That way I'm not just kind of putting it all onto one section and then the rest of the car is like not as good looking, you know? Small block 350. The motor was actually built by the previous owner. He had it only with 10 miles on it. The engine was built to a little less than 400 horse. It's been dynoed, it's been blueprinted. I got the sheets at home for it. The only thing that I've done as far as add-ons and changes to it is adding the extra chrome to it and doing some of the upgrades to some of that. And of course the brake upgrade. We just did that this last spring actually, because getting tired of having all drums and having, you know, a little bit of horsepower, you gotta have stopping power, you know. So got a nice kit from eBay from a well-known seller that does disc upgrades for 13-inch wheels. And so it's got discs in the front and stops on a dime. It's just wonderful. It does. It rides like a Cadillac with the airbags. We don't have gauges in the car. We just have switches, just like a hydraulic system. So we go based off the feel. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't feel it till we hit a bump and then we scrape. So we just kind of lift it up a little bit and then we're good to go. But if you have it all the way up and you drive it, then it rides like crap, you know. But yeah, I mean, if you find a nice sweet spot, she rides like a Cadillac down the road. They came from a company called Vision Industries, and they make a lot of different styles of the headlights and stuff. You can get the different colors, and I can change it all on the app on my phone to where it'll flash with the beat of like music, stuff like that. I can have it solid one color if I want. The turn signals also are what do you call that? Switchbacks? Yeah, I believe that's what they're called. It's switchbacks, where they're white and then they turn yellow for the turning and then they're back to white. So it's a new style. I just put those on with him a little bit ago. We haven't done nothing with the body or the paint yet. You can see imperfections and stuff, which right now I'm okay with that because, you know, we drive it. You know, once it gets to be a perfect paint job and perfect body work and all that, that's when guys get scared to want to take them to Walmart, you know, and park it to get groceries or whatever. We take this car everywhere. We don't have a problem driving 2-3 hours to go to a show in the cities or just down the street to Walmart, you know. So it's kind of nice that way. Interior is also original for the most part as far as the seats. It's got the black leather, SS console, chrome etching, the gold is pretty much the only upgrades that are into the interior. Stereo, we put in our own stereo, obviously, modern type stuff. But yeah, there's not really a lot of aftermarket on the interior. The guy kind of had some of that stuff already set for us too. When I got the car, he had already had the interior done. We did the headliner on it when we got it. And then just kind of had some of the other little things done to it as we've gone, but yeah. From an old school gas station back in the day, so it's kind of iconic, like Felix the Cat, and when you see a lot of that on lowriders and stuff, goes back to a dealership. So that actually came from a buddy of mine he takes trips out to California, and he's a good friend of mine since high school, and he brought these back from me from actually one of the swap meets out there in California, and he's like, hey man, if you're gonna have the lowrider, you gotta have the balls to go on the lowrider. And I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, we put them on the car, and it's a big thing from out in California. It's kind of an iconic thing for a lot of cars out there, from what I'm told. I haven't been to California, but I definitely have seen like some of the bigger places people cruise. And yeah, it's a nice little touch. I mean, it don't match the car, but it's one of those iconic things. I always get hit up from guys that are from California, and they're like, that looks like something I would see out there. Transmission stock on it, driveline's pretty much stock. Other than the airbags that we put in, some of the steerage linking and stuff is chrome. I still have a few more parts at home that I need to put in it yet, but that includes doing a lot more tearing into it, which with car show season going on, don't really feel like getting into it. So it's waiting for winter, you know, when most guys do their upgrades up here. Nah, the exhaust is pretty much cut short right in front of the rear wheels. That way it's got the free movement to go up and down and do all of it side to side and stuff. Otherwise, it did have full exhaust at one point, but it goes right next to where the bags were, and so I was afraid it'd get too hot and everything, so we just cut it short, which is also what a lot of lowrider guys do for the movement. Yeah, a lot of this wouldn't be possible without my son helping me out with doing a bunch of the work on this. If you don't get the young kids involved in stuff like this, it's gonna die. You know, plain and simple. People are losing interest because the dads, the grandpas, the uncles, they don't show the younger generation how to get into this stuff. You know, maybe people have a lot of questions and they go, well, nobody's ever shown me. And so that's something I've always wanted to teach my kid, is I want you to be, you know, an independent person. I want you to know how to do stuff. I don't want you to go, I don't know how, because that's not a good answer. With Google and everything else we've got today, and me being around for them, as a dad should be, it's my role to teach him that stuff. It's my, you know, for me to show him how to do this stuff. So even down to a basic oil change, changing a tire, stuff like that. You know, he's driving his own car now. So, I mean, he's got to know some of these things in order to be self-efficient. Otherwise, if I don't, nobody else will. But it's, you know, it's all stuff though that, I mean, once you kind of dig into it and you figure it out and do it, or somebody shows you, it's not really that hard. You know, a lot of people can do it in their garage if they want to take the time to figure it out or learn, or, you know, any of that sort of stuff. So that's just kind of what I've always taken for an approach with him, is that I want him to know a lot more of this stuff at a younger age than what it did take me, because it took me a lot older to kind of learn to do some of this stuff. Honestly, it took me to get sober to do all this. 12 years ago, I was drinking a lot before he was born. Well, it was 12 years ago since I quit, but yeah, there was a lot of issue in the past to that stuff, and, you know, wasn't good, and finally straightened it out. And ever since then, life just kind of took off. I mean, I had a girlfriend one time that she asked me, what are your future goals? And I had to think about it. And I'm like, I don't know. So thinking about him, I'm like, what am I showing him? So I was like, nah, I gotta quit. I gotta not do that no more, because I gotta be a good role model for him so that he doesn't think that's okay. And because I had to see that myself, and it's not good for the kids to see the parents doing that sort of stuff all the time. You know, there's more to life than that. So it was a big factor for me, because it loosened up the money. It made me want to work more, give me more drive and ambition to getting goals and stuff done, and pushing and not giving up. And, you know, now I can honestly say, when somebody asks, what are your goals? I have goals. You know, it's not where I don't know. So, you know, that's all stuff that it hit me. And when she asked me that, and I was like, I gotta do it for him. I tell people whenever they want to listen, like, you know, if you ever think about quitting or want to go sober, it's a good thing. There's a lot of things you can do. You know, life doesn't end when you go sober. So, you know, I mean, it actually opens a lot of doors when you do that, because now you're not worried about getting high or getting drunk or any of that stuff. I mean, when I quit that stuff and I started working my ass off a lot more, that's why I got this. I mean, this is just one of a few things that I've gotten from doing that. I own a house now. I never, you know, it took me this long, but I have one. And I wouldn't have had that if I would have still been doing what I was doing. So it does contribute a lot. Also, you know, it gave me a good son with a good head on his shoulders. So, you know, something to be proud of.